trial in the Supreme Court last week by the FMRAI has once again put the doctor-pharmaceutical firm relationship under scrutiny. The FMRAI alleges that gifts was the reason for the high incidence of prescription of Dolo 650, an analgesic which was being prescribed and used very widely when COVID-19 was raging. In fact, their sales hit about 500 crore rupees. Now, the PIL is regarding the overall practice of gifting or freebies being given by pharmaceutical companies to medical practitioners to urge them to prescribe certain medication. The hearing will now resume next month. The broader issue, though, is universal regulatory challenges. Why are pharma companies allowed to give these freebies to doctors? And can they really self-regulate as the norms right now state? I must add that the makers of Dolo, who are also on the show today, have claimed that whatever has been alleged that they've given 1,000 crore rupee budget to market Dolo 650 is incorrect, but we'll get their version ahead on the show. Meanwhile, our focus this evening on the broader question: how do you ensure that what doctors are prescribing you and me is because that medicine is actually the best fit, rather than because they have been urged to or incentivized to prescribe that particular medication? To speak more on this, I'm joined now by Dr. J.A Jayalal, former National President of the IMA, Murali Neelakanthan, top lawyer, joining us on the show today, and Jayaraj Govindaraju, Executive VP, Marketing and Corporate Communications at Microlab, also with us on the show. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. Dr. Jayalal, I want to understand why this is still going on and how can we then trust what doctors are prescribing. I mean, the Dolo example was cited by the petitioners and has caught everyone's imagination because all of a sudden, everyone was consuming only Dolo. And the company's been around for a while. I'm sure the product has also been around for a while. But in public consciousness, suddenly it was Dolo all around. Now, the question is, was there a special marketing push which included giving a lot of lavish gifts to doctors behind this?
Absolutely no. It is definitely it is a myth which is conceived. I just want to ask you: is it the Dolo a patient has consumed just because of the prescription of the doctor, or he has got it from the OTC? Now, paracetamol is the one drug in every counter, every shop you are going to get it. And it is not the doctors. Invariably, if you see, most of the COVID people were admitted in a big hospital, a corporate hospital or a hospital where they have a medical college, government hospital. There, the doctor has no privilege or no right to prescribe any particular drug. Whatever it is available in the big hospital or the corporate hospital or the government medical college, the doctor would have prescribed. If the government has purchased
saying no doctor prescribed Dolo? Are you claiming no doctor prescribed Dolo during COVID-19?
No, it is a routine, normal prescription. We have prescribed corosine, we have prescribed paracetamol in a generic form, we have prescribed the Dolo. There is many of the doctors there. But major chunk of the sales of the paracetamol is by the over-the-sale counter. It is not on the prescription of the doctor. And see, the total sales of a drug and the incentive which we are talking about, 1,000 crore, it is totally mismatched. And nobody will be able to see that 1,000 crore. And now it is very, very strict rule by the government of our Medical Council of India or the income tax that no doctor can get a freebie. And if the company or somebody can prove that this doctor is doing this because he has got this money, definitely he is punishable. And we have many instances we have punished them. And
how many people have been punished in the last few years? Can you just share with us? Because I know the IMA has norms, but how many doctors have actually been punished?
See, as per the complaints which is coming to the ethics committee, the ethics committee go on the verification, and there are 46 doctors were once punished because they were caught that they went for a tour abroad.
When
and
was
that
this,
was
sir?
well proved that was they went for a tour in a journey outside.
Yeah,
so
when was this? I'm asking, when is this 46 doctor incident from?
This was happened 2-3 years back.
Okay.
See, now as per our medical council, right, if you are getting a freebie up to 5,000 rupees, you are only able to reprimand him. We can say that the stricture will be passed. Only when it is proved that they are getting more than 5,000, up to 1 lakh, and their name can be removed from the medical council. There are few incidents which has been proved and they have been taken action. But I'm not saying that it is nothing happening. because the problem is the manufacturing of the drugs is happening at the local level where there is no control. But none of the top level companies or the international companies can give the freebies or give support because they cannot claim it as a promotional activity. By the Income Tax Act, no company can claim that this amount they have spent for the promotional activity because it is not allowed of the Income Tax Act, which has been the renowned act. So I don't believe that so much of things are happening. Yes, indeed, in certain areas, in the rural areas, the Chota companies can give some freebies to the doctors. But 90% of that, confident we can say, none of the doctors will prescribe particular drug just because they are getting a benefit. Only on the basis that they are going to get benefit to the patients, only they are doing it.
Yeah, but if you have the same essential drug just being made by different companies with a different brand name, eventually it's a choice the doctor is making. Let me go to Mr. Jayaraj.
It is not the doctor.
It's a choice the doctor is making. Let me go to Mr. Jayaraj. Yes. One minute, sir. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, okay.
It's a fact that the doctor is making a choice. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it's a fact that the doctor knows better than the patient. The patient is in no position to say, okay, give me this and don't give me this. They don't know the difference. They can write anything and the patient will just take it. Right? So there is no
but doctor
level
is
playing
not
field.
Selling the drug.
No, doctor is not selling the drug. I'm laying down two
the
facts for you
company,
that every doctor
shop,
makes a choice. We don't know on what that choice is based, but every doctor makes a choice to prescribe drug X rather than drug Y. And every patient and most patients will not have the same amount of information as doctors. I'm just laying down these two facts before I go to Mr. Jayaraj. Mr. Jayaraj, your statement saying that all of these allegations are false are there on our screen. You all have widely said it. I want to start by asking you a different question. How did Dolo become the drug of choice during the pandemic? And how did it suddenly become so popular in your view? Was it because of marketing? Are you saying marketing had nothing to do with it?
See, Dolo was not popular only during the COVID period. It has been a market leader. It has been a brand leader for many, many years. In fact, we had 50% market share even before the COVID period. And during the COVID period, it became 58%, mainly because during the COVID, 650 milligram became the therapy protocol. I would like to bring one point here that, during the COVID, it is the doctors, the pharmaceutical companies and government were working, bending backwards to ensure that the product, all medicines are available in time and where it is required. And of course, government support was also very much important. And doctors were hailed, obviously, for the right reason, they are hailed as the hero, frontline warriors. And to even make an allegation that doctor wrote Dolo 650 on freebies, that's an insult to the service rendered by the doctor during COVID and the industry which gave ensured that drugs were available. Not only Dolo.
Dr. Jayaraj, Mr. Jayaraj, sorry, I just want to clarify one thing.
I'll make this point and then come to my point.
Okay.
Yeah, Dolo is a popular drug always. It had a 50% market share, and because it was, in the protocol of COVID drug, as paracetamol 650 milligram, as a protocol drug, right in the front. Then came vitamin C, then B complex, and steroids, and all those protocol drugs, the biggest brands at that point of time, or even before that, they gained a lot. It's always a big getting bigger. That thing happened during the COVID. So the most, the recommended drug, in fact, protocol drugs, and there the biggest brand was Dolo. It got a much better traction than other. Otherwise, Dolo was always a popular drug. And right during the chikungunya days, when the fever went high, even higher than the normal fever, doctors preferred 650 milligram. And since we had the first mover advantage, we always gained in those kind of epidemics. And every time the brand reached.
May I ask a question, Mr. Jayaraj? Yeah. Okay. So you have conflated a couple of things, sir. You are saying that during COVID-19, pharmaceutical companies, including yourselves, ensured that the drugs were there and there was an uninterrupted supply, which is great. That's excellent. But that has nothing to do with what we're asking today. You said, 1 minute, sir, please. You said during COVID-19, doctors did their job and they were heroes, which is absolutely true. But that has nothing to do with what we're discussing today, sir. What we're discussing today is, was there a marketing budget for Dolo 650 or not? Are you saying, sir, that there was zero marketing budget for Dolo 650 since its inception? How does it work?
It is not possible. It is not possible. Whatever, alleged brand required, the kind of support required, we were giving. It's a mass product. So we kept on increasing field forces. From 250, we made it 600 field force over a period of 10 years. And it reached more number of doctors. And we gave samples. We gave simple things like pens and pad. And Dolo, even last 6 years, it is under price control. 650 milligram is also under price control. Unlike some of the misconceptions floating around, that 500 is under price control, 650 is not. No, 650 is also under price control. We have not revised the price for many years. And it is under 2 rupees product per tablet. And certainly no company could have spent 1,000 crores on a brand in 1 year for a turnover of 350 crores. And Microlab certainly did not do it. We did not do it. It is. I want to make this point very clear. And it is not, COVID phenomenon, the brand.
Okay. No. So you're saying clearly that the 1,000 crore allegation is incorrect and that is being taken at face value. That matter is in court. You're saying 1,000 crore rupees is what we spent in the last 5 years. It was not for Dolo. But the petition is very specifically about the broader question. And I want to come to the broader question. Murali, let me come to the broader question, which is that is there a system in place which has no clarity on how it can be mapped? Is there enough transparency on what exactly all pharmaceutical companies, not just Microlabs, spends on popularizing a new drug, a new launch? How do they reach out to doctors, and how do we make sure that there is no sort of quid pro quo there which incentivizes doctors to prescribe one brand over another?
So the way traditionally pharma companies have tried to promote their brands, especially new products, is through the sales rep. So you have the medical representative who goes out and tries to meet doctors, hands them over approved material. So the company approves what he can and cannot say. It's in a text, it's a leaflet, he hands that over. There may be research, journal articles about this drug, which he can hand over. And that's about it. There's no other way really of doing this face-to-face. There have been occasions where you can have training. So if it's a new drug, doctors need to be trained on how to give it, what to watch out for, what the side effects are, what the limitations are. So those used to be the conferences that got a bad name because they really weren't conferences. They were, cruises and things like that. But you can really spend time and expertise in educating doctors, especially about a new drug. So all that is permitted. When the government got aware that this was really a problem getting out of hand, that none of this was being done, but what was given away was freebies, and there were very expensive freebies being given. It did two things. One is a very minor amendment to the Income Tax Act, which has been discussed before, which has a huge impact. If pharma companies now have to give out any significant sum of money, that will not be allowed as a deduction for the purpose of calculating their profits and therefore tax. So effectively, if they hand out 100 rupees in these kind of freebies, that will not be allowed as a deduction, which means that 100 rupees will be part of their income and they'll pay tax on it, 25%. So not only are they handing out 100 rupees, they're also paying tax on that amount. So that's the first way the government thought the way we fix this is by fixing the pharma companies and making it a huge disincentive on them to hand out these freebies. The second thing it did was to say that if you ever hand out these freebies, you have to deduct tax on them. So it imposed a TDS on it. So now you have a list of which doctor got it because the pharma company has deducted tax on it. So that is the way in which the government, and this is a very practical and pragmatic way of dealing with the problem, is you deal with it at the person who is giving out this money. What is the way to do it? Now, it's all great. How does it get done? The only way to do it is by handing out huge sums, wads of cash. Now, that is possible to do if the number of people who are getting it are not large. So if you have, let's say, 500 hospitals with cardiologists in it, and you want to, kind of bribe them to use a stent versus another stent, it's easy to manage. But for something like Dolo, you can't hand out envelopes to, 50,000 doctors, 100,000 doctors. You don't know how much they've prescribed. Just doing that data of collating this information and working out how much you will pay per doctor for how much ever he's supposedly prescribed is an impossible task. So there is this problem. It exists amongst the more expensive drugs.
Is it only about incentives which can be calculated in this fashion, Murali? Because
otherwise, how will you do it?
No,
Tamanna?
so what about things like trips to conferences abroad, etc., which Mr. Jayalal spoke about?
Exactly. You can do it if the doctor is prescribing humongously large quantities and you're making large profits on it. So no doctor, and Dolo is a very cheap drug, right? All paracetamol is very cheap. So unless he can prescribe, lakhs of that stuff, you can't justify taking him on a cruise, which is going to cost you a couple of lakhs. So all of this works for high value drugs. So you're looking at cancer drugs, you're looking at stents, you're looking at implants, where the number of people you have to take on the cruise is small. And each of them actually provides a huge profit to you. So you make 100% profit on it. There you only have to take 200 people on it because there are only 200 cardiologists in hospitals that we care about. So those are the kind of things where you're likely to see this kind of a nexus. You're likely to see prescription is possible, and it is easy to do this. Otherwise, it's impossible to manage. I mean, for a general practitioner to try and bribe a general practitioner, what is actually the great value he's giving you? He's not going to be able to write out lakhs of it. So that's the second part of it. I think that it works, maybe still works, and maybe you can generate cash and maybe you can hand out cash, but it will be to a small number of people. The issue really is, how do we fix this, right? So one of the solutions, one of the things we need to think about is, what is the solution? If the doctor doesn't have the right to prescribe a brand and he's meant to prescribe the generic name, the chemical name, which often they don't do, the pharmacist gets a chance to replace it. So your choice is, do you trust the doctor or do you trust the pharmacist?
Dr. Jayalal actually made a very important comment in his opening statement, and I think we should dwell on it, when he was talking about Dolo, where he said paracetamol and OTC medicines are many a times given by the pharmacist as well. So is there some reason, Dr. Jayalal, that pharmacists give one kind of medication or the other? Because, we are, the fact of our country is that many people go to the local chemist and say, sardi khasi ke liye kuch de do. Ya gala dard kar raha hai, kuch de do. So,
that is
is there an incentive game there as well?
No, it is none of other Western countries. You have the pharmacists will have that, even the incentives or the margins. Now only in India it is happening because the OTC is permitted beyond a level, and any drug is available, they can directly go to that. See, only concern when the prescribing the generic drug, what the Indian Medical Association be opposed is, when we are writing a drug, and who is going to decide on the brand? If the particular pharmacist is going to give the brand, and how can the doctor ensure the quality of that? If the doctor is going to do that, giving the brand, he takes the responsibility for giving that drug, and anything complication comes out of this, anything, the doctor is responsible for that. If I am writing just paracetamol and somebody else is dispensing some brand, it is not possible. So in this country, if we want the generic claim to be there, then it will be very difficult to, unless we are stopping the brand names, it is not possible for us to do only with the generic name. That is what we said, at least you write generic and write some of the brands, whatever possible. So in some incidents, see, but one thing you must remember also, in the COVID time, 60 to 70% of the patients were treated in public health hospital, not on a private hospital. Majority of the people who received the paracetamol from the public health hospital. Any government institution, no doctor can prescribe by a brand name. So in almost all the government institutions, we are writing only the generic name. So what they are going to get is only depending upon that. And if you take any corporate, even Apollo group or group, and a doctor is not going to be in a way to prescribe. It is the corporate sector is first procuring the drug. So I am only worried that when you are saying that the blame is only the doctors are doing this, the system should be evolved. I fully agree with you. A full-fledged system should come.
Right.
I fully agree that when he said the Income Tax Act, the amendment of Section 38 has made a
Dr.
tremendous
Jayalal, you have
change.
to at least admit that it's not like doctors are blameless. They have
I
an
won't say we are also
enormous
human beings.
amount of
We are also
say
not a concept
in
that
what
doctors
is
are God.
prescribed.
See, you must see if there is a new drug is coming for a cancer, a new drug is coming.
I'm not
Yes,
talking about
indeed, that
noble
doctor
causes,
has
sir. You know I'm not talking about noble causes.
no. For a paracetamol or if you see vitamin C, there is nothing much a doctor can prescribe or nothing much a doctor can earn out of that. Yeah, if you are seeing a COVID, we are seeing a drugs which comes, he purchase almost around 2,000, 3,000 rupees drugs he is purchasing. A paracetamol is the maximum price a paracetamol can be
No,
sold is
again,
1.83.
we are conflating the issue once again. I'm not talking about COVID or cancer or XYZ disease. I'm talking generally. You know, we've seen the epidemic of pain pills in the US because of this, where you've had an entire generation of Americans hooked to painkillers because of indiscriminate prescriptions that they didn't know whether they should take or not. How can we ensure that doesn't happen here is the question we're discussing today. Mr. Jayaraj, I want your perspective on, the question of why marketing becomes crucial. And I'm talking beyond your company and your brand right now. It's a very important, understanding that we need. Suppose you launch tomorrow a new drug in a particular category where you're not the market leader. There's already another market leader. You, as the executive vice president of marketing, have to make a huge effort, I suppose, to ensure that your drug is also prescribed. How exactly would you go around doing that ethically?
Well, when I am a follower and I have a big leaders in front, my ambition on the brand is not great, and my effort will be to ensure that my field force goes and promotes the brand effectively, consistently with some brand reminders. Absolutely, there is no way that I can topple a brand leader and emerge as a big leader later. Whereas when I'm going with the first mover advantage, I have the advantage of concept selling. Therefore, I will highlight, give scientific information on the product and try to, get the trust of the doctor for this molecule and brand. These are the ways we can do. And we have, all said and done, we have a particular objective and we have a particular budget. Our field force cost and apart from our production cost, our field force and all other costs adds up. We cannot be so lavish in our marketing.
Right.
No company can be lavish in marketing. Yeah.
All right. It's an interesting discussion that I think needs a lot more follow-up. But for now, we'll wait and see where this PIL goes in the courts, because that's sort of opened up that Pandora's box. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the lead story this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.